Welcome to the You Are More podcast. I'm Blaine Ledbetter.
And I'm Lakin Stewart. If you're looking for an authentic community that shares the truth of the gospel and the truth about life, you've come to the right place.
We believe that you are more. You're more than motherhood, more than your ministry, and more than your career. Grab a cup of coffee and listen in to hear the truth about what it means to find your identity in Christ through every season of life.
Welcome to the You Are More podcast.
Okay, welcome back to the You Are More podcast. We are so excited to be with y'all today. Today, we would like to shift gears just slightly and let's dive into careers. And part of our tagline is that you are more than your career. And so I'm going to pass it to Lakin, and she's going to start us off. And we hope you enjoy today's episode.
Yeah, so as Blaine and I were trying to think about, we are both working moms. We work part-time / full-ish time, depending on the time of year. During year-end campaign season, we both edge on the side of full-time. We both work, we both have children, and we are both pastors' wives. So that's kind of the niche that we're at right now. In the past 2 episodes, we've covered motherhood and ministry, and the last piece of that triangle is, of course, career. And gosh, we've both done just a myriad of different things and had different life paths from a career perspective. I have been all over the place when it comes to dreams and aspirations, and just I'm an Enneagram 3, and if you know anything about the Enneagram, Enneagram 3s want to be successful and want everyone around them to know that they are successful. And so that's why when I texted Blaine and was like, Blaine, I want to start a podcast too, she was immediately like, Lakin, is this your Enneagram 3 talking?
Yep. I had to.
And so I was like, no, like, this is truly something that I really wanted to do for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, so from a career perspective, if this is really for anyone who works, this can be, working mom, this could be working dog mom, this could be just working single woman, working, no matter what you do, is hard, because you grow up and you see your parents go off to work and you're like, one day I've got to do that. And as millennials, coming into the workforce after college and being in mounds of student debt is honestly really, really difficult. Much more difficult than the boomer generation that paid $47.26 for college. And we're paying $47,000 for college a year. And so, coming off of undergrad and being in mounds of debt and figuring out what to do career-wise is just really, really hard. So if you are in that space, you're not alone, because honestly, some days I'm still trying to figure it out. And I'm, almost, 7-8 years post college at this point. And so, my career journey of sorts has been kind of funky. I graduated high school from an arts school. I went down to an art school that was like 25 minutes from my, normal high school. And I did half-day arts classes. So like music theory, voice performance, piano, all of those things. And so my main goal in life was a voice performance degree from college and to perform for a living. Not doing that now. I nowhere near doing that now. And in college, my plan changed like 17 times, because my first year of school, I got diagnosed with vocal nodules, which are like basically, in Pitch Perfect, where they say I have nodes. That's essentially what that is. They're like big pimples on your vocal cords that won't go away. And so I couldn't complete my voice performance degree. And that was just from years of overworking, overuse in high school. And that kind of really was the detriment of my voice career, in a sense. I still sing and can sing, and it's just doesn't sound as good as when I was in high school.
Yeah. That's
which
a lot.
is hard, you know, for my Enneagram 3 self. I have to be the best at everything, and everyone has to know that I'm the best at everything. So but yeah, so that was like my goal going into undergrad. And when I found out I couldn't complete my voice performance degree, I was like, well, let's do the next hardest thing, pre-law. And so that was my goal. I was going to be a lawyer. I studied for the LSAT, ended up not taking the LSAT. And when I met Cody, kind of changed my plan again. And I was like, I don't really know, maybe social work, maybe ministry. I was just really confused on what I was going to do. So I took a gap year between undergrad and grad school, worked as a nanny, worked as a worship director for a church. And in grad school, I made the rapid realization that higher education, you know, I had a really hard, rigorous 4 years of undergrad, and grad school was doing that to me all over again. And I was stressed out all the time. I lost like 30 pounds in 9 months.
Oh my gosh.
It was like, wow. I was so like, it became so stressful to the point where I became literally physically ill. And like, to the point where we thought I had cancer, and it was just a whole thing. It was, I had a bone marrow biopsy, and thankfully nothing came back like positive, but it was still just like a really scary time. And so during that time, I transitioned away from grad school to hopefully help my stress level, because that was one of the big things that my doctor said was like, you have to reduce your stress or else you will literally die. So because I was, you know, typical Enneagram 3, I was taking 16 grad credit hours per semester, plus working part-time for a daycare, plus I was a teaching assistant in the honors college, plus I was in like every community theater show. I was doing just too many things. Like, our second year of marriage, Cody and I never saw each other, and so it was just not great. But then I, you know, did some soul searching, and really I was feeling really shameful about dropping out of grad school. I was like, there are so many other people who can do it, why can't I do it? Like, I just felt really ashamed and felt like I was letting everyone down because I wasn't completing my goal. And my goal was, you know, to go to grad school, to become something great, to have an awesome career. Like, and even though I was in grad school for that, I didn't know what I was doing. And I ended up getting a job at a nonprofit, which I loved. I worked at an elementary school for 2 years as a social worker of sorts. I wasn't a licensed social worker, but I operated in that sense in this school. And it was really, really life-giving. I loved the kids that I got to work with. It was a small rural community in Texas that was a food desert, 15 plus miles to get food. And so it was just really great to love on those kids and get to know them. And that really changed my heart and mind perspective of, you know, like, I'm working for the Lord, and, you know, my ministry is like my vocation, like what I'm doing, even though when you're in the school system, you can't necessarily talk about Christ in that setting, but still, like, those kids were my ministry and were what was giving me life. And it was awesome. And then when we moved from Texas to Virginia, I had a 5-month-old, and I, you know, shifted gears and started working remotely for the company that Blaine and I both work for now, and is how we met. And what we do every day is truly awesome. We get to work for really great mission-based organizations. We work for tons of nonprofits and even for-profit industry organizations that just have great missional values and are doing good work for the kingdom of God. And it's just really fun to be able to help them in their marketing communications and anything under the sun. They give us a task and we do it. And it's been just really life-giving. At times, it's been stressful trying to find that work-life balance. We kind of have to reevaluate every few months on, okay, what's working, what's not working, how can my hours change? How can I serve my family better? Because our core values are steeped in family first at the company that we work for. And truthfully, like I fully, wholeheartedly believe that there is no company in the world that operates like a Cordis. And it's one of those things where, the owner of the company, he has actually called me and said, I want you to turn your computer off, take a night off, and just be with your family. And I don't want you to clock in for the next day. Like, don't do it. And so like, you don't hear that from anybody ever. And so that's where my career is at right now. I currently work as a new client coordinator. So I myself and another colleague of mine help onboard all new organizations to our company. And I work with sales and, landing new leads for clients that we onboard. And so Blaine and I both work on the sales side together, and it's been fun. We've just recently started doing that together. And so that's been really fun. And that's where my career is right now. So yeah, I don't know, Blaine, if you'd like to chime in here and tell us more about where your career started and where it is now. And
so just to start, it is crazy to think that when high school students graduate, we expect them to pick a major and decide what they want to do for the rest of their lives. And it's just like, that's such a high standard. And I know that that's societal. But if you don't know what you're doing or what you want to do for the rest of your life, and you're 18, 19, 32,
that's okay.
45, that's okay.
You don't have to have it all figured out.
God will have you in his will. If you're a believer, you are never going to be outside of God's will. And so
yes,
when I graduated high school, was going to be a physical therapist assistant. And then, so that was kind of right out the gate. I kind of went to community college for general studies, knowing that that was hopefully the path I was going to pursue, but then quickly was like, no, I think I want to do education. Come from a long line of many educators in my family, and thought, maybe I could do that. Maybe like higher education, not necessarily kindergartners. Love you, but no. And so, some things shifted, and decided halfway through, transferring to university that, okay, not going to do that. And decided on art, graphic design, which then literally changed the trajectory of my life, because I went to art, quote unquote, art school. I did 1 year of art at a university, and then God did a lot, as I referenced in our previous episode. So shifted gears again and went all in on the PTA dream again, physical therapist assistant, and prayed hard. It was hard to get in that program. It was hard to stay in. Thought I'd be working there for a very, very long time. Then realized maybe that along the way, I was like, I'm an Enneagram 7. And if you know about Enneagram 7s, we like new things. We like variety. We like adventure. And so monotony is just like, to us, just the most painful thing ever. I can't even imagine. Never thought that I would be a stay-at-home mom or a work-from-home mom.
Me neither.
Ever. I mean, I remember clearly saying it before we ever had kids. If God wants that desire in my heart, he's going to have to place it there, and he's going to have to call me home, force me home. And definitely shifted. I went part-time after we had our first, and still a PTA. And then, when COVID happened, and it kind of that forced most people home, I was in healthcare, but that whole season of 2020 and COVID, had to stay home and had to be home with my kids, and definitely learned how to do that, and lots of adjustments. I leaned into some marketing. I guess I'm a serial entrepreneur, but really, wanted to start a marketing company just so that I could have something that I was the boss of myself. It was different. It was not healthcare. It was not that. And long story short, through a series of, who I found this job that a Cordis where Lakin and I met and have worn many jobs. I mean, have worn many hats.
Yeah.
In that job. I love it's great because it has been a variety and I have not so unknowingly I have not just done the same thing throughout this entire time of staying home and working from home, which even is a whole other like balance because I mean it's work and my kids are also here and if they're not, I don't know, it's just has taught me good boundaries, but I, in the midst of all that, too, in the last 3 years, was like, oh, I want to be a birth doula. And so crazy. But that was my heart. That I loved talking about birth. I love supporting women. There is nothing like getting to be with a family when they meet their baby for the first time and birth their child. And so, but have realized in the past few months that God was like, I know that's your heart and your desire, but like you're going to have to put a pause on it because I've given you these kids to shepherd. And again, it's that margin thing. Like I had to make margin somewhere. And so even though that's on hold, I hope it's just on hold and not a shut door forever. It's definitely has brought me some just incredible people into my life. Getting to see babies born is just a miracle from God. And, you know what, it was really hard to shift out of that, PTA career because I'd worked so hard for it. I'd worked so hard to get there and had spent so many years in school and so much money to get through school. And that was hard to let go because it was really like a trust, like, God, I don't know what you're doing, but you got to do it. So, what happens when your career shifts and you don't have that identity anymore? That's
really hard.
And what if you're in a career that you don't love? What if you're out there and you're like, I hate this job?
But I think that's a big difference between generations past and generations now is millennials, Gen Zers, love to love their work. We want to love our work. It has to give us, something in return except for a paycheck. Like we have to feel like we're doing, I mean, and I won't speak for, the entire millennial Gen Z generation, but we really do have to feel like what we are doing is worthwhile. Right. And that we are like, our generations are some of the most altruistic generations that have ever walked the planet of like, we want to give back. We want to do things to help others. Like we are searching for the right job that can help others and really give us the fulfillment that we want, because it's not just about a paycheck. It's about the people we're serving and the mission of the organization and what they're doing. And I think that's just a big difference and a generational gap when it comes to careers.
Oh yeah. I would, speaking into that, just thrive where you're at until God calls you somewhere else. I mean, there have been plenty of jobs that I have really mentally, emotionally, it's just not been good. And I knew though that I had to stay there a little longer. And God brought me out at the exact right time that He was always going to. Like He never left me. And He has always provided every need, according to His riches and glory. Like He has provided that, but He didn't put me there by accident. And so just also
if you're in a job like that you don't like and that you don't feel as fulfilling, like God put you there for a reason and He wants you to see the fruit of it. And you might not see it now, but I guarantee you 10 years from now, you will see.
You will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that I had written in our notes that I was thinking about is just something that I struggled with, and I know I'm not alone, but just imposter syndrome.
Yep.
As a PTA, I was like, what if they find out I really don't know what I'm doing? I did. The truth was, I did know what I was doing. I
Yeah.
cared for my patients so well.
Oh, I know you did, Blaine. I know you
Same
did.
for doula. I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like such an imposter. Like, I really don't know how to do this. I mean, I thankfully, the job I'm in now, all my coworkers, y'all know I really don't know what I'm doing,
No one
but
knows
I'm
what we're
gonna
doing.
learn it and I'm not
We're
gonna
all,
pretend. I
and it's
know.
all like, we always take a mindset of owning it and just being like, hey, we don't know what we're doing here, but we're going to try our darndest to get it right.
Yes, yes. And so that is so hard if
Yeah.
you know, it's crazy when people say it and you're like, are you serious? You think you don't know what you're doing in your career? You're like the best XYZ out there. Like you know what you're doing. You're so good at your job, but
Yeah.
it's really this internal struggle that is just not talked about enough. But I swear I struggle with imposter syndrome in
me too.
some careers.
Especially because I did not go to school for what I'm doing now. And so like
Me too.
these big organizations come to me and they're like, so what's the marketing strategy? And I'm like, well, here's what I think would be good.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if they realize that I did not go to school for marketing?
I know. Yeah.
And I think that's where, our jobs that we're in right now, Blaine, we all come together and just get it done. Like there are experts on our team who know what they're doing, and we lean heavily on them. And it's like Blaine and I kind of run things from the front end, but there are folks on the back end that really know what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's like we are all a team and a family. And it's just one of those things where it works because of the dynamics of the company culture, and it works because everyone is on the same page, and just super thankful for where we are now. I could not imagine working for any other place, and I think Blaine would feel the same.
I agree. This is not a job that I thought I'd ever have, but I'm doing what I feel like I've always wanted to do. I mean, I have a heart for missions. I mean, have imagined or dreamed before that we would be on the mission field. Like I would be in Africa or Asia or some other continent, foreign overseas mission work. But I get to do all of that. I get to help kids in foster care. I get to help human trafficking victims sitting right here and also raising my babies. Like that is way more than I could have ever imagined. Still doing holy work, but in just the craziest way.
In the best way. Like
in the best way and most simple too. Like
it's the simplest way.
Yeah.
And we're doing kingdom work and doing it well. Like our company is growing and we're trying to scale and get all the right team members in place. And it's really, really great place to work. Like since I've been a part of the team for about 2.5 years, and we've grown like 10 times what it was when I joined.
Oh yeah.
So it's super exciting to see just the work that we're doing. And I see you have a question here in our notes, Blaine, that what happens when your career is your identity? And I can definitely fall into like my work is my identity, and I want to make sure I'm doing a good job because that's who I am. It's the good job that I'm doing. And I'm here to say from experience that your work is not your identity.
No.
Your identity is found in the Lord. And yes, he's given you abilities to complete your work and has given you, strength and power to push through the hard moments in life. But your identity is not found in the hard things that you do. It's found in the Lord who gets you through them. So
yeah. I was just thinking with that question and with that note of you are so much more than what you do for your career, and every career job experience that you've had has prepared you for this season that you're in, especially career-wise. And don't think that, don't get in the mindset of, all I do is make these milkshakes at Burger King or Chick-fil-A. All I do is wipe noses and grade papers at school. I'm just a teacher, or I'm just a nurse who dispenses medicine, or
I'm just an accountant who counts the numbers.
Who just runs numbers. No, like
you're way more than that. Yeah.
You are, because if you strip all that away, if you lost it tomorrow, you are still you who God has made you to be, and He has called you loved and valued, and He gave Jesus to die for you. And so He loves you so much. And you are so much more than your career and your current season. And Lakin, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just want to encourage, whether you're a mom or you're a single woman in the workforce, or you're about to graduate college and you're trying to figure out what the heck am I going to do? Like, you don't have to have it all figured out.
Yes.
I am approaching 30 pretty quickly and still don't have it all figured out. My job changes every week pretty much. And that's okay. And it's okay to not know what that is. It's okay, if you're out of college and, you're not dating anyone and you don't have marriage in the timeline for you right now, and you don't have kids, and like, there is a time and a season for everything in your life, and it doesn't have to be this cookie cutter thing. If you took 4 years or 14 years to graduate college, or you didn't go to college at all, and you are valuable, and you need to know that the Lord loves you regardless of where your life has taken you, what paths you've been on, and just that, your life is much more than the things that you do and your accomplishments. And that's something that I'm having to debunk daily in my life. And so, that's kind of my tidbits of wisdom. Take them if you will.
No, those were good. And so we hope that you've enjoyed this conversation today. Overall, again, our podcast is called You Are More, and you are more than your motherhood, your ministry, your career. And we're all in this together, and you're not alone. And like Lakin said, you don't have to have it all figured out, because honestly, nobody does. And
nobody does.
Good for you.
You're faking
it. So we will be back next week with some more episodes. And so follow us on Instagram at You Are More Pod. Subscribe, share. We want to spread the word, and even now, this is more than we could have ever imagined. So we thank you for your support thus far, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.